Hello. Hey guys, welcome to Code Guide. And today in this session, we'll discuss the topic data type in Python, and we'll cover the important topics like its introduction, definition, different data types like integers, floating point number, strings, lists, tuples, dictionaries, sets, booleans, and none type. And we'll also see in the next part of the session the implementation, where we'll get more better understanding about the topic, that is the data type. So let's start. So understanding the types of data you can work with, that is the data types in Python. And in Python, data type define what kind of value variable holds. So each type of data behave differently. Now, what is a data type? So data type tells Python what kind of value something is. For example, it can be a number, can be a text, can be a list. So Python automatically knows the type when you assign a value. Now, first of all, we'll start with the integer. So it represents whole number. It is positive or negative without a decimal point and can be of any length, limited only by a available memory. So integers are basically whole number, can be positive or negative. And suppose I assign a variable age value as equal to 21. So that is an integer. Suppose I mention here equal to minus 1995. It is also an integer. So these values are called as integers, and we can mention it by int also. So if you want to convert any particular different value into integer, suppose I want to convert float value, or suppose I want to convert different values from into integer type, I can use the int also. So by int, I mean in Python we have integers, and it can be of any length, and it is only limited only by available memory we have. Now, second is the floating point number. So that it represents real numbers which include numbers with a decimal point. Now, it can also represent a numbers in scientific notation. Example, we have seen it. Now, floats are numbers with decimal point. Now, suppose I assign variable price a value 19.99. So there is a decimal point. So it is a float value. Suppose I mentioned a height variable, and if I assign a value, it has 5.8. So that is also a float value or floating point number, we can say. So that's the any number which has decimal point will be automatically considered as float value. So moving on, we have strings. Now strings represent sequence of characters used for textual data. Okay, so represent sequence of characters useful for textual data and are immutable, meaning their content cannot be changed after creation. So a string is a sequence of characters written in code. Suppose I mention a variable name, and in double quotes I mention hello. Sorry, I mentioned suppose Mahesh. I created a variable named name, and I in double quotes mentioned the value as Mahesh. So that is a string value. Anything we enclose between a single quote, double quote, or triple quote, okay, will be considered as a string. Now, suppose I mention another variable, greeting, and I assign a value in double quote as hello. That will be a string value. Now, next is we have list. So, our ordered mutable. Mutable means we can add, update, and delete collection of items and can contain items of different data types and allow duplicate member. So duplicate value can be also used in list, and list is basically denoted by square bracket. Okay, it can store multiple values like a collection, and it list can contain different types also. So different data types also can be used in a list. I can have an integer value list, string value, float value in a single list. So it doesn't matter. It is denoted by square bracket. It is mutable. That is, we can add, update, and delete. I can add any element to my list. I can update any element, and I can also delete. So that is mutable, and it is basically ordered. Now it can contain items of different data types. We have told that, and it can and allow duplicate number. So suppose I have a list named I have suppose integer value. I say 1, comma 2, comma 3, comma 4, comma 5. I can again mention 1 here. So duplicates are allowed in list. And suppose I can also mention suppose I have a variable named fruit. In square brackets I will mention multiple string values in double quotes like apple, banana, cherry, mango. So that is a list. Now we have tuples, or we can say tuple, which are ordered immutable. Now mutable was what? Add, update, delete. So in immutable we cannot add, update, or delete. That is the unchangeable collection of items, often used for fixed collections of items where the order and the content should not change. So they are ordered unchangeable collection. Tuples are like lists but cannot be changed. So that is tuples, and they are generally considered fast as compared to lists as they are immutable. So they are fast compared to lists. Next is the dictionaries. We can mention it by dict in Python. It stores data as key value pair and allowing efficient lookup by a unique key. Keys must be immutable types like string, number, or tuple, while values can be any type. So we have two different pairs here in what we can say in dictionary. We have key and we have value. In key, we have immutable data type like string, numbers, or tuple. While in values, we can have data type values of any. Okay. Now suppose in a dictionary, I mentioned a dictionary with a variable person. Suppose person is equal to in curly brackets, I will mention a variable or a key named name semicolon, and after semicolon I will mention values. So first is the key which is name, and next will be the after semicolon will be the value. And I mentioned suppose for name key I have mentioned value as John in double quote. So string value I have mentioned comma. Now this is the first one, the first key and value pair, name and John. So these are key value pair. And in comma, I will assign a key, name age. After semicolon, I will give value as 30. So we have two key value pairs in person variable. That is dictionary. Next we have set, or we can call it as set. They are unordered collection of unique immutable items. It is immutable means we cannot add, update or delete, and it is collection of unique number or unique value. So duplicates are not allowed in set first of all, and it is unordered. So order of the values in a set can be changed, and it is primarily used for membership testing and removing duplicates from a sequence. Sets are like lists but no duplicates allowed. So if you want to have a sequence of numbers where no duplicates are allowed, you can use set. And it is unordered. Remember that. So order will be not maintained. Now next we have boolean. That is, it is mentioned in Python as bool. So it represents one of two values, which can be either true or false, and they are fundamental for conditional logic and control flow in program. Boolean basically represents truth values. Suppose I mentioned a variable name is student and I new value is equal to true. So that will be considered as a Boolean value. If I mention another variable name is adult and I mention the value as false, is adult is e- is adult equal to false. So that will be considered as a Boolean value. And we have only two values, true or false. It is used for conditional logic. Okay. So whenever we want to mention any condition in our code or control flow in our program, then we need to use the Boolean value. And the last is the null type. We can mention it by null, and it represents the absence of a value or a null value. Now it is a distinct data type with only one possible value, which is none. So none means nothing. Okay, none means nothing or no value yet. Suppose I mention a variable name result equal to none. So that will be considered as none type. Now we have finished with the data type. We will summarize one more time. First of all, for integer, what can be an example? Suppose 10, no decimal point. Integer without a decimal point, positive or negative, either it can be. For float, numbers which have decimal point. Suppose 3.14, it is a float value. For string, anything enclosed between a single quote, double quote, or triple quote will be considered as a string. We have list. Suppose in square brackets I mentioned value as 1, comma 2, comma 3. It is considered as a list. Then we have tuple. Then we have dictionary, set, boolean, true or false, and none type, none. So the overall view of the data type in Python is like Python has a built-in support for many data types, and understanding them helps you write better and safer code. You can check a variable type with type function. Suppose I want to check a data type of any variable. So what I'll just mention type, and in what we can say, and I'll just mention the variable name. Okay, or I can mention any value to check the data type of that variable or a particular value also. So the theory part or the slide presentation part is over. Now we'll move towards the implementation part.